bring it up for Ohio State.
You've waited all day for this.
Don't let that team stand in the way. He's going to take it to the house. 85 yards. Down the right side going Devin Smith. Got it at the 5 and into the end zone. Touchdown.
The one show that's nothing but the Buckeyes.
Oh, Graham Rucker for the touchdown. Kraft shoots it high on the right for 3.
This is the Buckeye Show.
Oh, boy, is it the Buckeye Show. And, boy, we've got a special, not guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen. This is Tim May for my third straight night. And Patrick Murphy, how would you describe yourself? You were going to be a guest at 6:30. You were going to talk about beer, about drinking too much beer, about all the beer you've drank. It's kind of a regular feature on this show.
It's drinking a normal amount of beer. I don't want to make it sound
I know, but
excessive.
as people gear up for a Friday night, it's always good to give them pointers, whatever. But boom, by the magic of radio, you're on for 2 hours with yours truly, Tim May. What do you think about that?
I'm pretty excited to be here with you, Tim.
This is the first time you and I have ever been joined in anything, correct?
Yeah.
That was a little bit of a leading question there, but you know where I was going with it.
I do. Other than occasionally when you've been in the studio and you guys have called me.
Yeah.
One specific time that stands out when I was in Washington, D.C., walking down the street, and you kept commenting on the cars in the background. But no, other than that, we've worked together, but not together, if you get what I'm saying.
In a joint operation to try to bring ratings and entertain people.
Exactly.
In that regard. With that said, let's just jump right into a couple of things. Number one, you were at the Ohio State football camp, which is pretty funny because I've attended summer camps, and this summer camps for Utes, for those two Utes. But the bottom line is you were there yesterday and saw some of the goings on, observed some of the players walking around, current Buckeyes who have been through the Marotti program, but bodied by Marotti, as Austin Ward and I were talking about yesterday. By the way, Austin Ward was going to be on there today, but there was a little bit of shakeup earlier because of an illness, and he had to do an earlier show. But I digress. Bottom line is, future quarterback possibly for Ohio State. Yeah. Brady Edmonds was there along with, I think, his little brother, who's not so little.
Not little.
His younger brother. I always like to say it about my baby brother, Tony, who's 68. That's what I like to say. But what was just your I don't know, observation of Brady Edmonds? I mean, does he fit the bill, what you expect out of an Ohio State quarterback, basically commit, but, he's been recruited to run one of the best offenses in college football?
I think so. From what we saw, and look, I think it's important to point out, these camps, you're often throwing to receivers that are varying levels of skill, right?
You mean like Will Howard at the combine?
Yes, exactly. And there's also receivers you've never worked with before. So the biggest thing I took away was before camp got going, they had a select group of quarterbacks out working with Billy Fessler and the Ohio State's quarterback coach. And during that, they're doing those drills that they do in practice where they're thrown over the net, trying to land the ball in the sort of the bucket. Yeah, exactly. And I thought he was really impressive doing those things.
Yeah.
Probably the best of the group out there. There was another quarterback who's from Florida who also looked good. But once they got into kind of team stuff, so to speak, routes on air, as they like to call it,
right,
he missed some throws, or at least the throw was not completed. But I would say more often than not, I'd put that on the receiver. And the receivers are running whatever route they want. Often they're not even going against a cornerback, or the cornerback is falling down. So, it's kind of chaos if you've never.
Discipline could be lacking there on crisp route running. Go ahead.
Exactly. But I would say, look, 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah.
He looks every bit of the 250 pounds he's listed at, 215 pounds that he's listed at. And I thought he fit. I've seen Tavian St. Clair at these camps. I saw Quinn Ewers at these camps. Dylan Raiola when he was committed to Ohio State. He's in that mix for sure, and he's still got a few years to improve. We talked to him after the camp, and that was his biggest thing, was he wants to work. He was here for that whole week. He's staying till Tuesday. He's committed to this program. He grew up an Ohio State fan, which I think is important from a kid from Huntington Beach, California.
Give that a little background a little bit. I mean, what he's his dad was from Sugar Falls. Go ahead.
His dad, Sugar Falls. I think he said he moved there when he was a kid, moved out to California, or they moved to Boston when he was a kid. and then moved to California. So Brady grew up a Buckeye fan. He's a Ohio State college sports fan and a Boston pro sports fan.
There you go.
Brady, you might get where that name's coming from,
Correct.
given the Boston connection. But yeah, I think, look, if you are projecting him out, I think he fits exactly what Ohio State's had in the past. I will say the Buckeyes are looking for 2 quarterbacks in that class, but I don't necessarily think that that's because of his ability or Ohio State not believing in Brady. There was a lot of working with him intentionally so between Ryan Day and Billy Fessler. But I think it's just, right now they don't have a 2026 quarterback committed, and a lot of the guys are firmly committed to, the top guys are firmly committed to other programs. Maybe they could flip somebody, but if they don't, you probably want 2 guys in that 2027 class. And Brady said afterwards, it's about competition, and he did not shy away from, if they bring another quarterback class, it doesn't sound like he's going to bolt or anything like that.
Yeah, it's funny because Austin and I were talking about that last night. Why would 2 quarterbacks come to the same school anywhere?
Yeah.
But I firmly believe that just if you show up at Ohio State and you end up going somewhere else, if the competition and you don't win that initial competition, just to be exposed to Ohio State and its offense and Ryan Day and what they like to do. And now Brian Hartline, last year, with Chip Kelly, you'd been a fool not to spend a year just absorbing some of those ideas and approaches to football and stuff. And I think it is interesting to try to get 2 quarterbacks in the same class who are of the same caliber, because why waste your time with someone who's not, right? And so we'll see where that goes. I wonder, it's really funny though. You just said he fits what they're looking for. What are they looking for at quarterback? I mean, 3 different guys, man. When you say Tavian St. Clair, Julian Sayin, and Lincoln Keenholz, I mean, Tavian St. Clair is kind of a combo of the guy that can run and throw and is a big dude. Lincoln Keenholz has grown into be a big dude. Julian Sayin, I remember Ryan Day being asked about him being sort of short, and after spring, I go, the guy's 6'1". I mean, his high school coach had him on the Tim May show. He took umbrage a little bit on him being what are you talking about, too short, But there is no cookie cutter for these guys. There's really no prototype. What do you think they're looking for in a quarterback?
Talent.
Yeah.
And Ryan Day says it all the time. You know this.
Yes.
It's those intangible qualities that these guys have all had, right? And regardless of size, skill, it's being able to lead, being able to obviously throw the ball.
Yeah. No, it's not an open cast,
right.
An open call for our cast call. I mean, you got to be able to throw the ball before they even look at you. I mean, that's, when they talk about character and everything else, well, still, you got to, you still got to be able to run fast and throw the ball. Go ahead, though.
But I think you look at what Ryan Day's coached, even going back to when he was the offensive coordinator and JT Barrett, and he's proven he can get the best out of various types of quarterbacks, right? And even looking back to what he worked with in the NFL with Chip Kelly. So I don't think they need to have we're going to get the same type of guy every, year in a class. I think they can find the talent and then make the offense fit around. And you saw it last year with Will Howard, right?
Oh, yeah.
He was a big guy, but he could move, and they developed him a little bit more into what they wanted, and he fit perfectly, obviously, winning a national championship. Is he the same as C.J. Stroud? No. Was C.J. Stroud the same as Kyle McCord? No. But, and obviously Kyle McCord went, to your point earlier, went on to have success elsewhere.
Justin Fields couldn't,
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think there is a one-size-fits-all for this. It's let's get the talented guys in the building, and then let's figure out the offense based around them.
Hey, one quick thing. What have you noticed? Because you've been covering Ohio State for a while now. What have you noticed, though, and this may be putting you on the spot. I mean, I don't like to tell you what I'm going to ask you before I ask you, but it's like you're a guest here, right? You are a guest here. I'm a guest here. Brendan Beam, see you next week.
Right.
But what have you noticed that rubs off from Ryan Day onto quarterbacks? What have you noticed through the years that seems to be his specialty that they absorb, for one of another term?
I think first and foremost, obviously he teaches them mechanics and all that, but have we had a quarterback that stood up there and hasn't been able to address the media or talk to fans or,
Yeah.
Ryan Day is great at that. And I think on top of being a very good football coach, he has been able to relate, You see him out in places. He talks to people. He just handles this whole situation of being one of the head coaches of one of the biggest programs in college football so well. And I think you have to then pass that on to quarterbacks because, as he said, it's one of the marquee spots and position-wise in college football, and you have to be able to handle everything that comes with that. And I think that is really a key thing aside from the ability and those type of things. Who
of the guys we've covered over the last 8 years that maybe lacked in that? And, the first guy that comes to mind is, and it's not because I think he was just sort of like, wasn't his nature, but Kyle McCord was not exactly, what do you want? He didn't exactly get up there. He definitely didn't pat himself on the back or anything, but, I think he was happy when interviews were over. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, look, there's a comfort level with all of it. And I think in talking to people, there were two sides of Kyle, right? Like he could become that rah guy when they needed him to. And you saw it, I think, even more with Syracuse when he had to kind of elevate because of the talent wasn't the same around him.
But maybe he also got the message of that was a little bit of what was lacking,
Absolutely. And I think that was a conversation going into that season.
Yes.
Was, does he have that it factor? And, look, they came up how many yards short against Michigan? And if that pass is completed to Marvin Harrison Jr., maybe we're having a whole different conversation.
Or, the guy doesn't come through the gap and hit him as he throws. Yeah, you're exactly right.
So, yes, I think of that group, Kyle, even Justin a little bit at the beginning, like he clearly hadn't had the sort of media training, but he got better at it. I mean, I know that ended up being a lot of Zoom calls, but sitting there with his dog, he felt way more comfortable than he did when he first arrived at Ohio State.
But there's that moment when you're trying to win your job, and then the next thing. But Justin Fields always, I think, engaged with us in one form or fashion and stuff. I enjoyed the time we had with Justin Fields and stuff. Hey, speaking of time you've had with people, we got to take a break here in a minute. But when we come back, I don't know why I'm whispering, but Michigan went up in front of the Committee on Infractions today at the NCAA. We're gonna, we don't have any necessarily inside info on what was said or not said or who said it, but it's just an interesting time in Michigan football, and really, and as that goes in the future of the game. We'll be back in a moment. This is Tim May, along with Patrick Murphy, here on the Buckeye Show on 97.1 The Fan.
Head to 971thefan.com to listen on demand and subscribe to all our podcasts. Wasting time has never been easier. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Hello, it's John Kozik, founder and president of TurboTrack Realty. Do you want to sell your property, however, you need a little help getting through the process? Let's say you have years of belongings in the home. It needs a lot of updating, you're overwhelmed, and you may need help finding a place to go. I will help you. Visit us today at TurboTrackRealty.com or call me now for an all-cash offer and, more importantly, the help you need at 614-470-2000, 614-470-2000.
And now, Public Education Matters with Ohio Education Association President Scott Damaro.
Ohio's public school students are counting on our lawmakers to keep their promise to them as they finalize the next state budget. Our students are counting on the adequate, predictable funding model the Fair School Funding Plan provides. Our students are counting on you to call your lawmakers and tell them to support the future of our public schools.
Public Education Matters, brought to you by the Ohio Education Association.
Come on over to Heartland and join our family.
Now, community banking is the lifeblood of the American financial system. Building strong, lasting relationships, we're just better able to help guide you down life's road. Flexibility is paramount to success. Community banking is alive and well in the Heartland. I'm Scott McComb. Come on over to Heartland, where banking really feels good.
Where banking feels good.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Things are popping at Al's Delicious Popcorn. With over 80 flavors to choose from, we have something for everyone. From classics like caramel cashew, white cheddar, and our famous vanilla butternut, to new flavors like chicken and waffles and spicy barbecue. They are all made fresh and they are all delicious. Visit us online at alspopcorn.com or come see us and experience the best service in town at 1500 Bethel Road in Columbus. Al's Delicious Popcorn.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
AgPro has been family-owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
All your favorite and least favorite fan shows are available wherever you get your podcasts. Just type in 971 The Fan to the search bar and hit that subscribe button. It's free.
We're the land of the free and the home of the sunburnt, freckled fat guy.
Join now.
Hey, Ohio State fan, are you ready for game day? Get hyped and get your crew going with the Buckeye Meal at BK. For $20, you'll get one juicy flame grilled Whopper sandwich, one original chicken sandwich, 2 mouthwatering cheeseburgers, 3 crispy golden small fries, and 3 refreshing small drinks. Grab your $20 Buckeye Meal today and share the taste of victory. At BK, have it your way. You rule. Limited time only at participating Ohio area restaurants. Tax extra. BK is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Hello, I'm Ross Bjork, Senior Vice President and Eugene Smith, Wolf Foundation Endowed Athletics Director at The Ohio State University. In partnership with AEP, Donato's, Kroger, The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, Huntington, and 10 TV, Ohio State Athletics strives to inspire the community to make a positive impact on children and families in our great state through the Buckeyes Care Initiative. Show and share your support in the community by using the hashtag #BuckeyesCare.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Hey there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Behrens at your latest forecast. Some scattered showers and storms this afternoon into this evening. Temperatures out there will drop down to the 60s overnight. Will be partly sunny tomorrow with mostly dry conditions, but we can't rule out a stray shower or a storm. Rain chances will be rising Saturday night into Sunday with a rainy end to your weekend. That's your latest 10 Weather Impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Behrens on 97.1 The Fan.
The only radio show that bleeds scarlet and gray. This is the Buckeye Show.
Boy, is it. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Tim May along with Patrick Murphy. Or as he is noted in my contacts list on my cell phone, Patrick Crew. Because
that was a different time.
He bailed me. Well, bailed me out's not the right term. It's more like he poured water into the boat so I would have something to drink. One of those times I got sent out to cover the crew for the Columbus Dispatch when somebody was ill or out of town or something, and you bailed me out with inside info, outside info. What is a soccer goal? What constitutes a soccer? Do they get to kick extra points?
We did have to work our way through the whole sport.
Yeah, we did.
In like 15 minutes.
No, you know what's funny is I covered the Columbus Magic way back when. Yeah, in the whatever that league was. It wasn't the MLS. It was the American Soccer League. I think was what it was, ASL. And actually, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
There were some interesting dudes. That was the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, whatever it was. They played at Franklin County Stadium, which was going to be a race car track, and I don't know what it is now. What is it now? But the bottom line is it was cool to hang out with those guys. And like I told people, I even got my life threatened covering that team because they finally got bought by a couple of guys from Rhodesia, a.k.a. Zimbabwe, and they were basically trying to get people from, I think it was Zimbabwe by then, might have been, but they were trying to get people there to invest in America's fastest growing sport, pro soccer, and they were, in essence, taking donations, if that's the right term, and just using it.
Yeah.
I mean, spending on themselves, on their lifestyles, and
like
stuff.
Brett Favre.
And I wrote a story about it, and yeah, I got in trouble with them, but not with anybody else. And of course, they were out of town pretty soon after that. But that's my dalliance with pro soccer. Speaking of dalliances, Conner Stallions, Michigan. They went in front of the Committee on Infractions today. If Conner Stallions is your star witness, do you have problems? What do you think?
It seemed people were pretty surprised that he was there based on what I saw, social media and whatnot. And I mean, I guess it makes sense. He is the focus of this whole thing, right? And we've kind of heard his story through the Netflix documentary and things like that. But boy, I'd almost forgotten that Conner Stallions was the thing. Like he'd so much gotten out of the media. Like after he had done all this, then he had his high school teams that he was coaching. There was all that drama there.
Yeah, wow, that team really turned out to be
but so we just hadn't heard from him in a while, and then all of a sudden he pops back up. And look, I guess it makes sense. It's about time that they get this stuff sorted out with Michigan and whatnot. And I don't know when we'll hear a verdict, but I hope it's sooner rather than later, because this has dragged on far too long since this all happened back in the Jim Harbaugh era.
Yeah, I had a conversation with Paya La Palambara. She's a lawyer now working with a big law firm, which is helping schools deal with what's already happened in NIL, transfer portal, et cetera, and what's coming if the house settlement ever happens.
Is it just a house, or is it a house settlement?
I think they're trying to get the house, but it's funny because house is a person's name, but it sounds like they're settling on a house, trying to close on a house, and they don't have the down payment or something. Something's messed up. But I digress. The bottom line is, as soon as that comes down, there are going to be all kinds of lawsuits based on what that's going to bring about, she worked at Ohio State for the last 10 years, up until a year or two ago. I'm trying to remember exactly her time frame, but and she worked in the compliance office, and investigated things like that. And we were talking about going in front of the Committee on Infractions. It's never every meeting there is not necessarily the same, because number one, sometimes you may get a committee that's sympathetic, or they want to hear, well, what's your side of this story? Our investigator said this and blah, blah, blah. But then what Michigan doesn't have going for it here is, in the very beginning and quite a ways through, Michigan was not helpful in the investigation. And the committee, I know the NCAA, the Committee on Infractions, does not like that aspect of it.
We've seen it firsthand here in Columbus.
Absolutely. And so I'm just wondering, as you look at this, you see all kinds of possibilities for penalties. We already know Sharon Moore is taking a 2-game sabbatical, about 2 games into the season.
Right. He got to dictate the terms of his own punishment.
Yes, exactly. Except he's actually going to not be allowed in the building or actually help coach, unlike the other coach who missed the first 3 games of the season and the last 2 games of the regular season, a guy named Jim Harbaugh. But he got to do everything but be at the games, And this is going to be different. How severe that'll be, who knows? But my point is do you think this is the NCAA's last stand? Hey, let's make it a good one.
Yeah, it very well could be. I mean, given everything they do, you just file a lawsuit and it seems to get overturned. This one, I don't know how you get away from punishment for Michigan. I think the NCAA probably wants to set an example. Obviously, you can't have this people thinking that you could just do this again, right? Like, the integrity of the sport. Say what you will about some of these other things that have happened over the years, but to me, this is one of the biggest, most egregious type of things, because it's literally on the field, right? I mean, you're standing there.
But let's make sure people understand, teams try to steal the other team's signs from the get-go every game. You've got people watching there. That's why you call plays, if you're down on the field calling plays, you call plays with something in front of your mouth so people can't see what you're saying.
And they've got 5 guys signaling.
And 5 guys it looks like a aircraft carrier with 20 runways on it. 5 different guys, landing signal officer, LSO, trying to bring them in. But you're right. But the point is, there was a specific rule that you couldn't do it off campus. You couldn't go and pre-scout, and everybody agreed to that rule. And it's not just that they did it 1 or 2 times. It was a concerted effort over several years, and clearly circumventing an actual rule, which does, in my opinion, did have impact on games.
Absolutely.
Agreed?
Absolutely. I mean, look at what Michigan was and not just against Ohio State. I mean, this was a program that had fallen off, the relevancy of the top of college football.
Correct.
And then all of a sudden you come storming back, and I'm not saying that can't happen without sign stealing, but it certainly makes a lot more sense looking back at some of those games. And I'm not just talking about the Ohio State games now, right?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you won some of these games that you weren't winning. Okay, well, now we have a reason we can see, and maybe that's not the whole point. Maybe they got better players, this, that, and the other thing, coaching better, whatnot, but it certainly helps when you know what the other team's doing. I mean, I know people have probably seen on social media the clips, Ohio State trying to play to Cade Stover that they'd never run before in Michigan. Look, maybe Michigan just perfectly read that, or maybe they knew some of the signs, and I think one is more likely than the other, if we're being honest.
Well, we saw what happened when they thought they had prior information against TCU.
Right, yeah.
And it didn't work, and it was great to hear TCU's coach finally come out and say, yeah, we were forewarned and change things. And, what really, really just blew my mind was like Michigan apologists saying, well, you should change your signs. I go, yeah, instead of y'all not cheating, every team, just when they play, you should change their signs, like it's changing your order, at the drive-thru at McDonald's.
And also,
something.
Teams do change their signs.
Oh yeah, of course they do.
If you do enough research, you're gonna have more often than not the correct answer.
Right, and you're gonna have tips. I mean, you have to have every team, every sign language, pardon the expression, is based on key tips which tell you where we're going, what direction we're going here, running or throwing. I just keep seeing those hands going up in the air like your roof is on fire, but they meant they're about to throw the ball. So anyway,
real quick, guys, everyone was saying that they're shocked Conner Stallions was even there today. If everyone's surprised he's there, if he wants to coach in college ever again, doesn't that kind of imply he may have talked?
Well, he may have talked, but I mean, he's already done a documentary, and but hasn't confessed. He's had in the documentary, he wouldn't even confess that he was at the Central Michigan game. And this is what's interesting: Central Michigan might get hammered harder than Michigan,
which is crazy.
It is crazy. It's like the old line: Kentucky cheats and Cleveland State goes on probation. It's kind of a similar kind of remember about basketball a long time ago. Well, hey, we'll get another grizzled veteran's take on this, along with Ohio State football, some Ohio State football and basketball observations. Steve Helwagen is going to join us when we come back in just a few minutes here on the Buckeye Show on 97.1 The Fan.
Join the G&J Pepsi team. G&J Pepsi is a family-owned company. Learn more about our company and open positions at our hiring event. Our HR team will be on site Monday, June 9th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 6939 Americana Parkway in Reynoldsburg. We're hiring full-time and part-time merchandisers to service the greater Columbus area. Interviews and job offers given on the spot. All positions offer competitive wages and benefits. Visit gjpepsi.com/careers for more info.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End the friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you're planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
What is dippable and dunkable? And now at Donato's, it's Donato's new chicken dippers. Flavorful boneless chicken breast tenders served up with 7 amazing dipping sauce options, including new garlic parmesan and sweet chili. For a limited time, try new chicken dippers for just $5 on the $5 Pizza Pals menu. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donato's. Gotta love more.
They're trained. They're prepared.
Let's do it.
They're Ohio's undefeated plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling team. And they're here to tackle your problems. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The Buckeye Show is sponsored by CareSource, proud to be your home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
We're very close to Buckeye football. Very close. Uncomfortably close. You're listening to The Buckeye Show.
We're back. It's always good to be back. Patrick Murphy and yours truly, Tim May, here on The Buckeye Show. This feels like almost like a fraternity meeting or something because we're about to bring on Steve Helwagen, and he's been covering Ohio State sports almost as long as I have, which is a long time. He's into his fourth decade at least, right, Steve Helwagen?
Yes, I think this will be year 31 on football and 38 on basketball. So, it's been a couple years, yeah.
I was right about the fourth decade. I'm really into my fifth decade. If in fact
golly.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts, but when you think about it. But Patrick Murphy's co-host here tonight, and
I'm just gonna let you guys trade war stories here.
Yeah, we ought to do that. We ought to do that, Steve. But you know what? I want to know. I want to get more into information. Number one, I don't know if you were at the Ohio State camp yesterday and stuff. I would think you were observing or at least hearing about things and stuff. But what just jumped out about you? And is it really interesting, these camps where guys can make their fortune and then, pardon the expression, with NIL anymore, you can make it or break it in some of these camps now. And Ohio State's been kind of leading the way in that regard for a while now, of just noticing somebody you didn't have your eye on. He's really matured, and then another guy just maybe going the other direction. But what were your observations, man?
Yeah, I think in that longevity theme that we started with, we go back with Bill Conley, was kind of one of the forerunners of this whole thing 30 years ago in the mid-'90s doing the football camps. And I can remember where it was the seniors, the guys who were going to be seniors that coming year would go to the camp and earn the offers. Well, now it has accelerated to the point that there's a few seniors mixed in at these camps trying to still earn an offer, but most of those offers are out, and half the class is already committed by this point. They can't sign till December. And what this is for the juniors, which would be 2027.
Hello? Steve? Did you put on some dance music? Some slow dance music? Are you still there, Steve? I think Steve's caller interruptus kicked in there, but he's right, man. I mean, I remember when Terry McLaurin had to prove his way. He had to come back a couple times, to camps. Devin Smith, I remember the day he got offered. We were standing there. Those are two of the more spectacular receivers in Ohio State football history who had to prove themselves at a camp and then got the job done.
You think about guys like Cardell Jones and Mike Thomas going to the prep school route before they could get into Ohio State, and obviously Cardell being an Ohio kid. I mean it comes in all shapes and colors, right? I mean, we think all the time with recruiting rankings and whatnot, and obviously I'm involved in that, but there is no. We were talking with quarterbacks earlier, like 5 stars great, but there's no one way to find a star football player.
Yeah, Stetson Bennett won 2 straight national championships, and Georgia tried to run him off twice. Yeah. Not once, twice. Steve, are you back?
I am. Sorry about that. These high-tech iPhones, I don't even know how to operate one. I've had one for about a decade, but, whatever.
Well, nice music choice there. It was we enjoyed that. But yeah, did anybody jump out at you yesterday that, you were surprised by, or you think the coaches were surprised by, or go ahead?
Yeah, I think Brady Edmonds, the quarterback that's committed for 2027, I think he really stuck out from California. He is just a big dude, and maybe in the Howard mold, and really has a live arm, and completed all the different throwing drills. Very impressed. I think Ryan Day was out there working with him quite a bit. So, to me, that was good. And then an offensive lineman, Khalil Johnson from Cincinnati Taft. He is, I believe, a 2027 kid as well.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of reminded me, frame-wise, of Nicholas Petit-Frere, just tall, slender, athletic, and if he puts on 20 pounds, he's going to be dynamite. So which will be no problem on like a 6'7" frame. So athletic offensive tackle. Ohio State hasn't, or rather the state of Ohio has not produced this kind of athletic lean offensive tackle who looks, as one guy said, our friend Berm said, he looks like he's played in the NFL for 5 years, you know.
Oh, wait a minute. You're not gonna utter the phrase that's a blasphemy, are you? He's the next Orlando Pace, right?
No,
because Orlando Pace did look like he had already been in the NFL when he walked out for his first practice at The Ohio State University.
You know, the funny story about him is I wrote his story for Buckeye Sports Bulletin. When he was at Sandusky High School, we would always write about the recruits, you know, as they were coming in.
Yeah.
And I talked to Larry Cook, who a lot of people in Central Ohio remember. He was the coach at my alma mater, Circleville, before he went to Sandusky. And he said, Steve, if Orlando Pace was 6'3", 180 pounds, he would have been an All-American wide receiver. He's just that good of an athlete that it didn't matter how big he was, what position he was at. He was going to dominate. Wherever he was that good. And obviously he was that good and much better, as we all know.
Yeah. As the old saying goes, he was a competitor. I mean, at anything. I remember when they put him in a defensive tackle a couple of times just to blow up the offensive line. Remember that?
Ron Dane in Wisconsin against Ohio State with plus Orlando Pace added to, what was it, Finkus and
Casson Moore. Yeah, exactly. Hey, it was pretty funny because he cleared the path for Andy Katzenmoyer. I give him mess about that all the time. Of course, Andy was a freshman then, but yeah, it was cool. You know, switching gears real quick. I didn't push the clutch in. Basketball-wise, this has been an interesting month, 6 weeks, hasn't it? I mean, from the standpoint of a roster for Ohio State, I mean, clearly they got to get some things changed, get some things done. There's kind of a coming and going of one guy who never was. But just what's been your take on that? And, you know, especially the kids, you know, you had the story on who got offered, I think, in-state. But where's Jake Diebler going with this, my man?
Yeah, it's been a real interesting thing, and he is doing his best, you know, to assemble a roster that's going to compete. And I think last year the two shortcomings were a lack of quality height in the program and a lack of depth overall. And you're having to put, Quez Glover, God bless him, was a nice, little piece, but I don't think anybody expected him to have to take over, some of Michi Johnson's minutes. So you've got to get quality and quality depth. And he added, they lost Dorian Jones, who was committed in this class. I think there were some academic issues there. And so he's not going to come to Ohio State at this point. And they had to fill that spot. They went out and got a high school kid, Miles Hero, the younger brother of Tyler Hero, who's in the NBA, played at Kentucky. And then
wait a minute, that's going on the all-name team, isn't it? Along with Bo Jackson on football. Go ahead now.
Yes, and then also added. Here's another all-name, Matthew Gurd. I can't say it.
Good luck with that one.
Gurjasic, I think, is how you would say it.
That's easy for you to say.
Yes, he's from Germany. He played for the Barcelona club team in Spain, and he's coming to Ohio State. He actually arrives this coming week, so he'll be a freshman on the team. Both those guys will be freshmen, so a little bit of roster turnover there, but they're up to 14 bodies and a chance to possibly add a 15th. There's another guy that's kind of lingering out there, Puff Johnson, who played at North Carolina and Penn State, is a possibility. Averaged 10 points a game at Penn State last year, but he'd have to get the NCAA to approve a 6th year of eligibility. Might be another European player in the mix as well, but I've heard nothing but good things about the freshman, Amari Bynum, the power forward that's coming in from the prep school, Link Academy. So they have infused the roster. Here's another guy, Christoph Tilley, transferred from Santa Clara, 7-footer. His first day on the Ohio State campus was supposed to be today. So a lot of new faces, and they're going to have to hand out a roster to all the players to get to know each other's names and numbers when they get it going.
Ain't that the truth? Steve, real quick, I know you were also over at the basketball camp this week. Anybody that stood out? Tim mentioned they offered the guard out of Lakota West, but real quick, any guys people should know about?
Well, yeah, earlier in the week they'd offered Jason Singleton Jr., who his dad, Jason Singleton, played on the 1999 Final Four team. He's playing at Columbus Academy, and Jason Singleton Sr., who was an administrator at Ohio State, is now the athletic director over there at Academy. And they made it all the way to the state championship game this past year. And so that is a potential name to remember, Jason Singleton Jr. That'll date a lot of us who covered his dad. And then
his granddad.
Joshua,
Go ahead,
Joshua Tyson from Lakota West, 6'2" guard. He does not play 6'2". He plays bigger than that, can get up, and just has a high motor, great communicator, good scorer. And he was very impressive at the camp yesterday. And one more, Alex Smith, the local guy from Upper Arlington. He is a commitment for 2026. He's in the 6'9" range, something like that, and can really catch and shoot the ball. So I think some exciting times coming for Ohio State. I hate to tell people to be patient. It's been a rough 3, 5, 8, 10 years here for Ohio State basketball, but better times are coming. Better times are coming.
Winter wheat, baby. You gotta plant that winter wheat, to get a good crop the next year. But hey, Steve, thanks for joining us, my man. It's always a pleasure. You know that, right?
Yep. All right, guys. Great talking to you.
Yeah. Thanks for the musical interlude there on his cell phone, which he still hasn't figured out how to work. But we're going to come back in a minute, and it's called the Power Five. We're going to think, who are the way too early quarterbacks to be looking for next year's NFL draft. This is the Buckeye Show on 97.1 The Fan.
The sound of Paul Keels calling a Buckeye game is erotic.
Oh, yes.
Your home of the Buckeyes, The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Going up. Prices keep going up these days. It feels like being on an elevator that only goes up. Going up. But not at Metro. We're pushing the down button. Going down. We've lowered prices. Get one line of 5G data for $40, period. That's 20% lower. And you get a free Samsung 5G phone when you bring your number. Only at Metro.
5-year guarantee on eligible plans. Exclusions apply. See website for details. Not available at Metro with T-Mobile in the past 6 months. Tax applies.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance is prepared for what's next and protects what matters most to you. With independent insurance agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova Insurance is an easy win for your peace of mind. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
We've got a story about a little bean doing big things. Soybeans are used in creative ways you may have never realized to make products we use every day. And Ohio's farmers are growing some of the world's best soybeans. By using and eating soy-based products, you make a positive impact locally and globally. Say hey to the largest ag export in the U.S. Learn more about soybeans at soysecrets.org. This ad brought to you by Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
The future of recycling is now at Rumpke Waste and Recycling. The recycling leader has opened North America's largest, most technologically advanced recycling center right here in Central Ohio. This one-of-a-kind facility features interactive displays, educational opportunities, and the ability to process over 60 tons of recycled material per hour. Rumpke is committed to recycling and sustainability efforts. And for more than 90 years, Rumpke has worked to make sure the items you place in your recycling bin get used again. Visit Rumpke.com to learn how you can team with Rumpke to put less trash in our landfills and more of it to good use.
Guess what? Our ugly faces are on YouTube. Search 971 The Fan and watch all your favorite shows. Laptop, phone, tablet, smart TV, we're everywhere. Bring us in the bedroom with you. Yes, The Fan.
You had a solid retirement dream. Sell your home in a few years, bank the equity, downsize, and travel. But with an unpredictable economy and the future feeling uncertain, you're wondering if that equity will still be there when you're ready. What if you could bank that equity right now? With TrueHold, you can sell your home for its current value, so you can access your equity today. You can bank the cash now and stay in the home you love with an easy standard lease. TrueHold even covers property taxes, insurance, and repairs. And since TrueHold hands over your equity in cash now, it's yours to do whatever you'd like. Don't let a shifting economy put your hard-earned equity at risk. Visit TrueHold.com and receive their competitive offer on your home in just 48 hours, based on its current value, not what's coming. Call 1-855-300-9993 or visit TrueHold.com. The smarter, faster way to cash out on your home's value without moving. That's TrueHold.com.
All your favorite fan shows are available when you want them.
Head to 971thefan.com and hit that subscribe button.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. Because there's nothing better to do on a Friday night, let's just rank 5 things. It's the Buckeye Show's Power 5.
Power 5, the power of 97.1 The Fan. This is Tim May along with Patrick Murphy. Patrick Murphy, did you get a little dry mouth a minute ago in that 6:30 slot when you were supposed to be talking about beer, but you were talking to Steve Helwagen, or at least a couple times I let you ask a question?
We should have asked Steve about beer because I know firsthand that Steve can throw them back, so he could have given us some beer tips.
Steve is a connoisseur.
Yeah. Putting it lightly, when he wants to be.
Yes. Yeah.
He will admit he has slowed down as he's gotten a little bit older, and I've seen it firsthand as we travel around the country together covering the Buckeyes.
Good for him, man, because some of the stories are legendary about him, but that's subject matter for another day. We're supposed to come up with a Power 5 here, maybe who could be the top 4 or 5. Well, I guess I've got to come up with 5 prospects for the 2026 NFL draft at quarterback. And I'm just looking at a list here, but I'm also just thinking, I think it's going to be. Once you got past the first couple of guys in this year's draft, I wouldn't call it slim pickings because I think Will Howard was a steal in the 6th round. I don't know if you agree. I really don't care if you agree. But he got better and better as the year went on when he was finally playing at a school that coached the quarterbacks in the right way. And we all saw his progress. I mean, at the end of the year, I thought he was the best quarterback in the country. I mean, I truly believe that. And I know Cam Ward and everything he did, his daring do, et cetera. But I really like the way Will Howard progressed and won a national championship. But you got to have more on your resume, I guess, than that, because just pro scouts and coaches are just like we are. They remember first impressions make a big deal.
Sure.
It's hard to get first impressions out of your brain. And the way Will Howard went about business at Kansas State as opposed to the way he went about business, especially the second half of the year last year, the Michigan game excluded, and he got a head bump in that game.
Putting it lightly.
Yeah, putting it politely and lightly. But the way he played in the playoffs against really good defenses, wow. So I'll let you go first. Give me your first guy you think could be off the board at quarterback of quarterbacks we know right now coming back. We're not talking about a guy that could rise out of nowhere. I mean, if Lincoln Keynotes won the starting job, and all of a sudden exploded, he might be the first guy off the board.
He could go.
He's eligible. Julian Sayin would not be eligible for the draft.
I will go with Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. I think he's got talent. They usually have talent around him. Like that to me, like you look at some of these other top guys, I don't know what Arch Manning's going to do. Obviously, he's a guy that has come up with a lot of buzz this offseason as he heads into that game at Ohio State.
He's like living in a beehive his last 10 years.
Yeah.
There's buzz all around him.
That's true. But it's grown substantially after he played some pretty awful defenses. But Garrett Nussmeier, I would say he's probably the guy right now I would project to go maybe 1 overall, but certainly the top quarterback off the board.
Yeah. I saw him make progress last year. To me, he looked very tentative at some points, like he wasn't seeing things properly, or who knows, guys may not have been running routes properly and stuff, but earlier in his career. But he definitely made progress. You know, the real mystery right now, and we talked about it in the break, we'll sell you that, ladies and gentlemen, for $9.95. We'll sell you a recording of that, what we talked about in the break. But Carson Beck going to Miami from Georgia. We all saw the arm injury he suffered, you know, and they tried to keep it secret so it wouldn't affect their rankings in the college football playoff. That was pretty lame, and he did end up handing off for the winning touchdown in the SEC championship game. But I digress. I'm very curious to see how he plays this year. Cam Ward set such a bar, and is Carson Beck? Is he going to be anywhere close to what he was the previous year? Was he great at Georgia? I'm not sure he's ever. Would you ever say he was great? I mean, he replaced Stetson Bennett.
Yeah, he was really good. There were obviously very good moments, but I think it was kind of come back to earth last year.
Consistency is what I'm.
And so, that's a big question. And you know, obviously at a new school, they had success, as you mentioned, with Cam Ward. Can he be 2 years ago at Georgia, Carson Beck? Again, talent around, I think, makes a big difference for these quarterbacks, right? At least the way we perceive them. So, you know, what does he have at Miami, and how can he build on the success that he's had at Georgia? Yeah, absolutely. Will he fit? You know, I mean, it's just interesting because I don't think Carson Beck and Cam Ward would ever be mistaken for each other if you're just watching video of the way they play. Let's put it that way. You know, Cade Klubnik, boy, there's a guy who's had a rebirth. Yes, absolutely. And based on beating SMU, you know, for the whatever it was, the PAAC, as I call it, the Pacific Atlantic Coast Conference, PACC championship. You know, that was some daring do there. I like using the word daring do because it kind of summarizes when quarterbacks just have to make some plays. And but now he's all of a sudden he's Mr. Hot. You know, Heisman Trophy candidate, et cetera, and he was a big disappointment up until about the middle of last year, right? Do you think he has the goods? I am looking at a website, NFL mock draft database, that has dates and where these guys have been projected. Oh, yeah, there you go. On April 19th, he was outside of the top 100, and now Carson Beck, according to this site, is projected to be number 2 overall. They do a good job of compiling. That's why I looked. Yeah. I'm sorry, Cade Klubnik, not Carson Beck. Yeah. So that's why, that's to your point, like, he ended the season well. He was playing well, but he was kind of left for dead at Clemson. I mean, I know he continued to play, but you just stopped hearing about him as they became kind of less relevant. And then, you know, look, guys get better, no doubt about that. And I think he has, but again, that word consistency, can he do it for a full season? Yeah, good point. You know, and another name on this list is interesting because I talked about him last night with Austin Ward, Fernando Mendoza. I'm sorry, man, every Spanish name, that's like 7 years of Spanish, taking Spanish in high school and college down the toilet. But Fernando Mendoza, the transfer from Cal, he had big-time stats at Cal, but they've changed their offensive philosophy and stuff, and a lot of people aren't very happy about that. But, of course, he left. He's at Indiana now. And, Rourke, I thought took Indiana, on that special run last year, but Rourke kind of reached a level, and he also got banged up. I'm not knocking him. The transfer from Ohio U, and they kind of fell short, obviously, against Notre Dame, but it was unfortunate. But and of course Ohio State. But Mendoza, man, this tells me Kurt Cignetti has got his act together when they get a guy like that, attract a guy like that, and I think he could do some pretty good things at Indiana. And of course he's projected as one of maybe I don't know what that chart says that you're looking at, but I think he's definitely a guy to keep your eye on this year. Yeah, they've got him at 14 overall, which pretty good for a guy, Cal to Indiana. But, I mean, that offense, assuming we see similar schematic things that we did a year ago, that offense is pretty quarterback friendly, and they'll have weapons. Is it Ohio State receiver weapons? No, but they showed last year they don't need that to be successful.
Yeah.
That's an interesting sort of, outside maybe the top 10 overall picks that I think, obviously we'll keep an eye on being in the Big Ten country here. What do you think of Drew Aller?
See, he's a nice guy, but I've always said this, and and sometimes guys surprise you. I just think quarterbacks reach a level and they don't go past. They can't necessarily make that play when they have to. Like last year, we saw Will Howard in the playoffs, especially make plays when he had to, kind of pull something out of his back pocket, as I like to say, instead of another euphemism there. And Drew Aller, just the big moment. I don't think you know what I mean by big moments,
right?
Championship on the line.
Playoff semifinal on the line, just for whatever hook or crook, hadn't gotten it done, but I think he's a nice quarterback, and he could be a serviceable guy. I know the pro scouts have liked him off and on. Yeah,
but,
he's got all the size and everything. It's just a matter of, I think, weapons too, but I think this will be a big year for him for sure.
Absolutely. Hey, we're going to talk about a lot of other things about the NFL draft. We come back here on the Buckeye Show, 97.1, The Fan.
An encyclopedic knowledge of sports and other random things you may or may not care about.
I think I found my mentor.
Rockman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
Everyone has that one goal, that thing they want to prove, not to other people, but to themselves. Then, right when you think you could actually do it, cancer. And that goal is still within reach. I would know. I'm about to run my first ever marathon with my two best friends. 3 years after having cancer.
At least we look good in these shorts.
Woo! Let's get it, guys. You, keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keep making plans to learn more.
Boating season is finally here, and Buckeye Lake Marina is your go-to destination for all your on-the-water needs. With the largest inventory in Central Ohio, you can choose from top brands like Bennington, South Bay, Crown Line, and more. Buckeye Lake Marina has it all. Pontoon boats, luxury tri-toon boats, even merch. Open 7 days a week to serve you better. Find your next dream boat at Buckeye Lake Marina. Visit BuckeyeLakeMarina.com today for all your on-the-water needs. The good life, the lake life, starts at Buckeye Lake Marina.
It's game day at Raising Cane's. If you want to order like a Buckeye, it's the action off the field you need to focus on. The only play you're running is chicken. So what combo are you picking? Make it a perfect season. We've got tailgates of hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers and cane sauce. And jugs of freshly made tea and lemonade. All available to order online or on our app. This season is about to be unbeatable. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
It's Kubota Orange Days. From America's #1 selling compact tractor to zero-turn mowers and versatile RTVs, get your perfect match delivered to your door. Now through June 30th, get 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,500 off BX23S tractors. See the details at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
Visit BuckeyeKubotaDealers.com to find a dealer near you.
Health insurance companies are expected to carry health benefits, but CareSource does so much more. We look beyond doctors' offices and hospitals to see the challenges that face our members. Then we help them achieve not just better health, but better lives. Along with great benefits, we also help our members find stable jobs, housing, childcare, and rides so they can find greater independence. At CareSource, we're removing barriers. We're improving lives. We're reimagining healthcare.
Attention Columbus. Town Properties just clinched the title of the largest residential property manager in Columbus, thanks to the Columbus Business Journal. With pride, we oversee 25,000 plus households in the Columbus metro area, ensuring fantastic places to call home. Whether you're on the hunt for an exceptional living space, a top-notch association management company, or a property manager for your multifamily portfolio, visit our website at town.properties.com and let us elevate your living experience. Town Properties, always managing great places to live.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. The Fan. Sports Center.
And I'm Nate Puterball. In the NHL, the Edmonton Oilers take a 1-0 lead into Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals tonight, hosting the Florida Panthers. Puck drop set for just after 8. The Cincinnati Reds begin a 3-game series with the Arizona Cardinals this evening. Nicola Dolo is set to take the mound against Eduardo Rodriguez. First pitch, 7:10. Catch the action immediately following the Buckeye Show here on The Fan. In the American League, the Guardians host a 3-game series against the Houston Astros beginning tonight. Logan Allen is set to take the mound against Colton Gordon. They'll start just after 7. The Dallas Stars fire head coach Pete DeBoer following his 3rd consecutive Western Conference Finals loss. And at the TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley, Cameron Champ takes a 2-shot lead into the weekend at the Canadian Open at -12. Andrew Putnam sits 2 shots back with another 9 golfers within 4 shots. Breaking sports news when it happens on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
It's time for the College Football Pulse on the Buckeye Show.
As they like to say, pa-pum, 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 pa-pum. That's the your heartbeat, which creates your pulse. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Tim May along with Patrick Murphy here on 97.1 The Fan, the Buckeye Show. And we're going to I think we're going to turn it over to our producer here, Nate Puterball.
How's it going?
I think I said his name correctly.
Someday someone will get it right.
Puterball. Puterball. There you go. Just don't call him Pickleball.
That's right. Yeah.
Nate Pickleball Puterball. Nate, what you got for us here on the college football pulse?
All right, some sad news out of Oregon. Their top returning wide receiver, Evan Stewart, suffered a significant knee injury today that is expected to maybe be season ending. Of course, he missed the Rose Bowl last year, but how does that affect Oregon's chances going into next year?
Well,
big time.
Taking a big-time player off the field, as Ohio State fans know.
Yeah, 7 catches for 149 yards and a touchdown against the Buckeyes in that first meeting.
In that first meeting. You got to know Denzel Burke, I think, personally. Right. But probably won't be getting a Christmas card from Denzel. But probably didn't get a Christmas card from Denzel. But Denzel got even, along with the Buckeyes. I think he suffered a patellar tendon
That's what
tear.
The reports are, yeah.
And that's much more serious, because patellar tendon, the way it's been explained to me, is like spaghetti. When you open the knee, whereas the other leg, some of those other things are more straightforward, like rubber band looking. This thing is hard to put back together and make it take. And so unfortunate for him, but obviously will affect his draft status big time, right? I mean,
yeah, well, in Oregon next season too. I mean, that's their top returning receiver.
Yep.
This is a team that has ambitions of winning another Big Ten title and being back in the playoffs. So, going to have to obviously regroup. I don't know exactly what they've got coming back. I was looking at some of their other receivers on projected depth charts, and none of them jump out to me as, right, oh, this guy just steps right in and you're going to roll like you might at Ohio State. So certainly a big loss.
Yeah, the quarterback they got, by the way, from UCLA, Dante Moore. I'm interested to see what he's all about, right?
Sure.
You are too, because he willingly took basically a sabbatical year last year to learn under Dylan Gabriel, who ended up being a finalist for the Heisman Trophy. But yeah, when you lose a weapon like Evan Stewart, it's got to hit you in some form or fashion.
All right, Alabama wide receiver Ryan Williams was speaking with CBS Sports' Robbie Collin today. Of course, Ryan and Jeremiah Smith both on the cover of NCAA college football this year. Ryan let him know that Jeremiah and him check in each other pretty often, and that iron sharpens iron. Who do you expect to have the better of the battle of the two wide receivers this year?
Well, they don't play each other until they get to the playoffs, number one. Number two, it's hard to imagine how bad, and by bad I'm talking about in relative terms, Patrick, Alabama would have been last year without Ryan Williams.
Oh boy.
I mean, he made some plays that kept them relevant as far as I'm concerned, and made even some wacky Alabama fans, and by the way, admission here, I was born and raised in Alabama, and we moved to Texas when I was 11. Went to Alabama home games. Blah blah blah.
I was wondering how this would impact your conversation
but,
here.
You know, I don't cheer for anybody. I haven't cheered for anybody in a long time. But
you cheer for the story. That's what you've always told me.
That's exactly right. That's why I picked Ohio State to beat Alabama in 2014 because I knew it was going to be a bigger story. Yeah. But I digress. Ryan Williams is what I would call him the leaner, meaner version of Jeremiah Smith. Is that the best way of referring to him?
Yeah, I think that's
because he's a hell of a player, man.
No, really good. But look, Ryan Williams caught 48 passes for 865 yards and 8 touchdowns last year. Jeremiah Smith had 76 catches, 1,315 yards and 15 touchdowns. Obviously, Jeremiah played in more games.
3 more games.
You might say that he had the better offense, better quarterback play, all that, but he was the number 1 overall player in the recruiting class. I mean, just all of these things add up to, unless something happens that we don't expect, Jeremiah Smith having another fantastic year. That doesn't mean Ryan Williams can't. I just don't think it'll exceed what Jeremiah does.
Is it amazing to you that probably the guy who was going to be the last quarterback for Nick Saban could be the Ohio State starting quarterback this year in Julian Sayin?
Yeah.
Isn't it amazing to you how the world turns?
Yeah. I mean, especially in today's college football, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I shouldn't be amazed anymore because we see it every year now, but absolutely. It's crazy to think about. I mean, Nick Saban now, College Game Day host.
Yeah.
People are going to know him soon more than they did for what he did at Alabama if he sticks with it.
Yeah, and also a good guy to lean on when you're hiring an athletic director like at Michigan State. You know, that was an interesting quote from him about that young man. But, you know, the interesting thing, too, about Alabama is they definitely need a bounce back. Kalen DeBoer, you know, the quarterback situation down there, they've got, a recycled Ohio State wide receiver in Austin Mack, right?
Yes. I don't think it's the same guy, but yeah.
Oh, he didn't get to go through the wash and change positions and get 5 more years?
No, I don't believe so. But same name. And look, you lose to Michigan in that bowl game like that. They are not happy down there.
No.
From my understanding. And look, it's still early in the Kalen DeBoer era, but I mean, if you need a bounce back year, I think Ryan Williams is a guy you got to get the ball to more for sure. But I still would pick Jeremiah in the.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I don't think there's any question. And I don't care what the stats are at the end of the year. You just look at Jeremiah Smith and his upside, which is, you know, to the stars, so to speak. And Ryan Williams, same way. But I just think the cast of characters around Jeremiah Smith will carry him a long way. And if they don't, he can carry it himself.
Well, and we heard people talking last year if Jeremiah had been eligible for the draft.
Yeah.
He's probably one of the top guys taken. Is that true about Ryan Williams?
Yeah.
He's probably one of the top receivers taken.
He's a threat, man.
But I don't know if he's going, top 2, 3 like we're talking about with Jeremiah last year. So.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare that you've had a tight end playing wide receiver.
Right. They can move like that.
Who can run that fast and has those kind of hands and runs great routes. And in final analysis, 3rd and 11 against Notre Dame, just throw me the damn ball. Right. And there you go.
And finally, we don't often talk the FCS here on the Fan, but a story out today. For the first time in 80 years, the Ivy League is set to take their place in playoff football in the FCS. The last time, 1945, and then the Ivy League said, no, we don't want any playoffs. We don't want this football thing taking over our school. 2 years ago, in the summer of 2023, the Ivy League Student Athlete Advisory Committee said, "Why aren't we in the playoffs?" And they said, "Well, we don't want to take over the school." And they all said, "That's really stupid. Get us in the playoffs." And now they have an automatic bid in the FCS starting this year. So who do you got in the Ivy League?
Oh boy.
And I'm just going to say Harvard.
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
Harvard.
Right?
But look, I think. Why were you not a part of? I mean, I get it. This is an academic, and these are all academic institutions and really good ones, but you can still take part in postseason. I mean, these kids go out there, they train all year while they're doing their academics and whatnot.
Paper Chase, remember that show?
Yeah. But you go through all this work to get what at the end? You win the Ivy League, and then you have to watch the rest of the level that you play at go compete for a national championship. That just
one of my favorite things to watch on television is I think every Friday night there's an Ivy League game on.
Yeah.
And, like when you're in a hotel waiting to go to the Ohio State game the next day, I mean, I love football. And
you're in a hotel. I'm at a bar.
Well, yeah. Well, but it's up on the screens.
It's on the screen.
I mean, I'm sure it is. Ivy League football, don't miss it.
Yeah.
It's really funny how they'll let their teams play on Friday night, which should be blasphemy also. But I just remember, man, Notre Dame didn't go to a bowl, Notre Dame didn't go to a bowls until, what, was it 70 or 71? They finally played Texas in the Cotton Bowl and finally broke that skein. And they've made a lot of money going to bowls since then and stuff, and now they're part and parcel to the playoff fixture. In 1961, Ohio State, according to the banners at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center, Ohio State won the national championship. But you remember the faculty or whatever voted for them not to go to the Rose Bowl.
Right.
And because the tail was starting to wag the dog from their point of view. And Woody Hayes, I think it took Woody Hayes a long time to get over that. And he finally did. But you remember back in the old days, Big Ten champion, you couldn't go to the Rose Bowl 2 years in a row.
Yep.
And no other Big Ten team could go to a bowl. And that finally, after the 4-year run, Michigan and Ohio State, when Michigan didn't get to go to a bowl, especially after the vote. Remember, that game was at 73. The Big Ten changed that rule, and Michigan got to go. And I think Michigan played in the Sugar Bowl the first time against Auburn or something. But yeah, a lot of rules go away quickly, and a lot of rules take a long time to change. So we'll see if Harvard becomes just a terror.
Well, it's amazing.
In the FCS playoffs.
It's amazing when money gets involved.
Correct.
And you sort of touched on that there.
Yeah.
How much things can change quickly and rules can be mended or broken.
Wait a minute. Are you saying this has something to do with with the edicts coming out of Washington? They maybe need the money?
I think it could. I'm
not sure anybody makes money in the FCS playoffs. Do not equate those to the college football playoff.
No, it's different, but there's still something on the line there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of on the line, man, we're going to take a break here again, but we're going to come back and talk about what's going on with revenue sharing here on the Buckeye Show on 97.1 The Fan.
Wake up with the Fan. Eat lunch with the Fan. Go to bed with the Fan. Dream about the Fan. Then change your sheets. Gross.
Ew, you guys are gross, but stick around in case I don't find anyone else.
The Fan.
Joining us on this episode are real Spectrum customers, Monique and Greg. We hear your family is a big fan of Spectrum.
Family of 4, we have about 18 devices last time I counted.
2 teams require a lot of speed. Everything they do is online.
There's gaming, there's streaming. Spectrum is perfect for us. I mean, it just seamlessly connects all our devices with lightning speed.
Sounds like Spectrum is really committed to keeping you connected.
It's amazing.
Common Man here for Universal Windows Direct. There are a lot of window companies out there, so why choose Universal Windows Direct? Let me tell you. First of all, I told you so. Also, you can get payments as low as $99 a month or no payments and no interest for an entire year. That gives you a full year to enjoy the comfort, savings, and curb appeal before you ever make a payment. Schedule your free assessment today, 614-502-5220, or go to universalwindowsdirect.com. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for mouth-watering meals and appetizing ingredients. And no matter what tasty choice you make, our low prices add up to big savings. Plus, you get over $600 in digital coupons each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump and points. At Kroger, you always get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
As America's largest custom home builder, Schumacher Homes believes a top-quality home should be affordable for everyone in the Buckeye State. We work with the leading architects to bring you the latest in design, and then you have the ability to make changes. Not just selecting finishes, but moving walls, adding rooms, literally customizing anything from the ground up. It's a misconception that custom homes have to be expensive. We work within your budget to build an amazing home on your land. Visit SchumacherHomes.com or any of our 9 Ohio locations.
AgPro has been family-owned and operated for over 64 years. We take pride in developing long-lasting relationships and offering first-class customer service. Need a new tractor, parts for your used equipment, or reliable service? AgPro has you covered. AgPro is here to serve you and your operation as your hometown dealer. Visit us today at any of our AgPro locations or go online to agproco.com to get started with your AgPro experience.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance is prepared for what's next and protects what matters most to you. With independent insurance agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova Insurance is an easy win for your peace of mind. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you.
Much like a vampire, we need to be invited into your house. But once we're in, we never leave. Listen to The Fan on your Alexa or Google Home smart speaker. Just say play 97.1 The Fan and prepare to be amazed. Do it now.
Hey, Ohio State fan, are you ready for game day? Get hyped and get your crew going with the Buckeye meal at BK. For $20, you'll get one juicy flame grill Whopper sandwich, one original chicken sandwich, 2 mouthwatering cheeseburgers, 3 crispy golden small fries, and 3 refreshing small drinks. Grab your $20 Buckeye meal today and share the taste of victory. At BK, have it your way. You rule. Limited time only at participating Ohio area restaurants. Tax extra. BK is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The future of recycling is now at Rumpke Waste and Recycling. The recycling leader has opened North America's largest, most technologically advanced recycling center right here in Central Ohio. This one-of-a-kind facility features interactive displays, educational opportunities, and the ability to process over 60 tons of recycled material per hour. Rumpke is committed to recycling and sustainability efforts, and for more than 90 years, Rumpke has worked to make sure the items you place in your recycling bin get used again. Visit Rumpke.com to learn how you can team with Rumpke to put less trash in our landfills and more of it to good use.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Hey there, Central Ohio. I'm 10 Weather Impact meteorologist Michael Barron. Scattered showers and storms continue this evening and into tonight. Temperatures will slowly work their way down into the mid-60s. We'll be back up in the low 80s on Saturday. Mostly dry, partly sunny skies. We can't rule out a stray shower or rumble of thunder, though. Shower chances increase in coverage Saturday night into Sunday, making a rainy end of the weekend. That's your latest 10 Weather Impact forecast. I'm meteorologist Michael Barons on 97.1 The Fan.
Someone out there probably thinks we spend too much time talking about the Buckeyes. Please tell someone that they're stupid. You're listening to The Buckeye Show.
Welcome back to The Buckeye Show. This is Tim May along with Patrick Murphy. Patrick, who do you work for? Give people a little bit of your insight. I mean, a little bit of your background.
I work for Bucknuts and 24/7 Sports.
And you've been doing that for how long?
I started with them particularly in 2016.
That's when we first met. We
met before then.
Yes, you were Patrick Crew.
Right.
I thought your last name was Crew. That was what was funny. But what do you enjoy? You got to say Ohio State football. You enjoy going to Ohio State football game. But what do you get out of going to Crew games? What is it about about soccer that just has always interested you? Why you're always wearing these weird occasional jerseys like Manchester United? Have you already changed allegiances now?
I have not. I know you have a grandson, is it?
He's a Manchester City.
Yes, I don't like that. I would like to change that.
He has a Holland jersey. He's 3.5 years old. Yeah. That's already been ingrained in him.
Well, I like that.
That's Charlie.
That's kind of how it happened for me. My dad, despite playing football, because that was the era he grew up in, was always a soccer fan. He played soccer too. And so we got into it from an early age, and I have pictures of me as like a 3-year-old with the soccer ball, whereas most kids, especially in the Midwest, have football. And look, I was always into football too. It just, soccer was the sport, especially with my stature.
Yeah.
Made a bit more sense. And so, yeah, it kind of grew from playing it. And then as the sport grew,
yeah,
you could watch games on TV over in Europe, and MLS started, and just kind of grew from there.
Yeah, I was going to say my 2 grandsons, Owen and Charlie. Owen's 6 years old. He's got a Messi jersey. My son, Kyle, took him up to Cleveland
for the game.
For that game.
Nice.
And just totally had good seats and totally enjoyed it. Messi didn't score, but you could watch him, doing his thing and stuff out there. And just a new generation, man, because like you said, we didn't even know what soccer was when I was growing up, but we just thought it was that European thing.
And it was.
Where nobody scored.
Right.
What fun was that? Well, now, you talk about scoring. How do you like this dovetail, this segue? I mean, athletes are going to be scoring even more money.
That's well done.
If the House settlement ever gets done. The judge, supposedly, I think we had Pete Nakos on from on3.com. He's on top of this stuff big time, but that judge, she's supposed to issue probably her ruling or her, what do you call it, her opinion, but ruling by June 27th. But it's been delayed many times because of course, every time you get something done, somebody else challenges something, or then she challenged it, about people. She was very, I guess, interested, perturbed that they were going to suddenly get rid of athletes who were on rosters just to meet the roster maximums.
Right.
She thought that should be grandfathered in, and we'll see if that, in fact, ends up being the ruling. But, revenue sharing for major college athletes is supposed to begin on July the 1st, or June 30th is the deadline, July the 1st, I would think. And are you holding your breath over there? Do you think it's going to happen? Do you really care? I mean, because we're talking about a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about a cap of like $22 million per school you can go up to in revenue sharing about 22% of your revenues generated by sports among the athletes. And of course, football will be getting the lion's share of it, along with men's basketball and women's basketball. But go ahead. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, here I'm reading from a CBS article that came out earlier this week. Even those intimately involved in proceedings are at a loss. For instance, a Big Ten conference official told CBS Sports they expected a resolution on May 20th. An ACC administrator thought Friday, May 30th. An NCAA executive checked his watch during a conversation with CBS Sports because Wilkin had released multiple decisions on Friday evenings. To me, this is a continuing to kick the can down the road.
That's my line, man.
I know. Look, you said it. It's supposed to start July 1. I would like it to get there because I think it makes things easier for everyone involved in college athletics. Yeah, we've lived in this strange period of NIL without really any cap, any regulations, and so this at least gives you something. Now, NIL still exists. You can still go over that way.
Yeah.
But I do think it makes things a lot easier, and I do think it would help those people that we cover, plus, players and whatnot, and maybe the sports that are not getting as much of the revenue sharing. Okay, now you can devote some NIL in that direction, hopefully, for the non-revenue sports.
Yeah, and everybody's going to be pouring through the details. I had Jim Cavall, the Tim May show I posted last night. You can find it on YouTube. He's the head of athletes.org. He's a guy, basically been trying to organize or is successfully organizing college athletes into one entity to a certain extent to have a seat at the table so that when this all comes down, there will be a seat at the table for the athletes. And, I've always said, should college sports, should it be a career? And, for players. And then I started thinking, nowadays, we've had a couple guys play a seventh year, in football because of COVID and everything else. The average career span for an NFL player is 3.7 years. So really,
that's a good point. Really good point.
You can get it while you can is, I guess, the thing. But he says, he said just flatly, as soon as the thing is released, you're going to see challenges to it, just like Paya. La Palambara. But I tell you, man, I picked the strangest people to interview from a name standpoint. But she's very astute. But yeah, they both agree that they're going to be challenges to the House element. So you don't even know, even when it comes out, if it's going to stick. And so I'm just curious. But I mean, that's a lot of money to be spreading out among athletes. And the interesting thing too about Ohio State's got 36 sports. All of them aren't going to get probably revenue sharing. Texas got 21, 22 varsity sports. Alabama, the same thing. That's the thing about major college sports. They're not all apples. There's apples, oranges, nectarines, peaches.
How many fruits can you name?
Hey, there's a few lemons out there too.
There you go.
But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all filters out, right?
Absolutely. And I think we are in such an interesting and some people may use a different word there, but I'll use interesting time for college athletics with the changes and, like you said, these legal proceedings that are following what we think we have a ruling, then you get challenges to the ruling. And again, things get knocked down the road and who knows when we get a final decision and we know what, at least for the time being, what college athletics is going to look like, guardrails, all these words that people keep using.
Yeah, guardrails. That's a very interesting word. I think of racetracks and guardrails with big crashes. And I think we're going to see some crashes in this thing,
There
right?
have already been crashes.
Well, dude, I mean, the way I understand it, there are, quite a few major college athletic departments that are looking, seeking, soliciting legal help from the standpoint of, matter of fact, that's what Paya does. I mean, she works for a company now. She used to work for Ohio State in the compliance departments, I said earlier, but they're seeking some expert legal counsel to be on their staff because there are a lot. I mean, Title IX is what's really going to pop after this thing comes down. How is the revenue going to be shared, male to female, and sports, and that could throw another monkey wrench into the whole thing, and it's just crazy when you think about it, because on the field, I remember having Pete Thamel. You know Pete Thamel?
I do.
Had him on my podcast 2 years ago. We were talking about this, and he goes, the funniest thing about it is college sports have never been more chaotic off the field, but never been better. Football has never been better, and I agree. I think football especially is just, in the last many years, has taken quantum leaps forward in terms of the entertainment factor and just the quality of play. And I think part of that is now you get to coach guys a little bit more often than you did back in the old days. But it is amazing. It's like all this scrambling going on, but you still put on a great show. Behind the scenes, behind the curtains, there's all this scrambling, but the show is cool. And I don't know. I think $22 million being spread around athletes, that's a good start. What do you think?
Yes, it's a good start. I think we had the good start with NIL. Like, that was a good idea. It was a good way to get in with players getting paid.
Well, let me interrupt you there, and that's where that kick the can thing.
Yeah, right.
That I came up with was.
That was all you.
I mean, that's an old time saying. Except I've always said the NCAA, the schools kicked the can so far down the road, they found somebody else to pay the players. You know what I mean? Right. They still didn't have to pay them, and of course, but you knew this day was coming. Whenever a house settlement's announced, you knew this day was coming.
Well, and even before, I mean, I remember just having conversations with people, friends of mine, as we're growing up watching college football, and it's like, well, should these players get paid? I mean, I think back to the Tatgate scandal, right? And it was so preposterous that they couldn't sell their own stuff.
Correct.
And that's just a microcosm of this whole thing. And it was inevitable that we were going to get to players getting paid. It was just how it was going to happen. And players are getting paid. We still don't know how it's going to happen, though, in terms of the big picture.
Yeah. But now they could all do commercials for the tattoo parlor.
Well, and let's remember that NIL, the whole point of it, name, image, and likeness, was you could go do advertisements.
Correct.
You could do those things. It wasn't supposed to be collectives, which are essentially working hand in hand with the universities or the athletic departments to go out and pay these kids directly. Like, that was not the intent, and that's what it's become. And
sure, it's pay for play. I mean,
yes,
Jim
exactly.
Cavalli talks about that on my podcast. I mean, it had good intentions, but oh my goodness, was it naive about what was going to happen? From a rule standpoint, and really, in Texas A&M, where Ross Bjork was, they were the first ones to really just go. They've got alumni that want to be number one every day, and they haven't been forever. And, of course, they were going to jump on board. Whatever train was moving that direction, they were going to jump on board that train. And everybody else had to keep up with it. So, but pay for play, once it's been introduced, it's always going to be there now in some form or fashion.
Can't put the genie back in the bottle.
It'll be disguised, but it'll be there. But we'll talk about that maybe and some other things with Mekka Don. Mekka Don's coming on. We're actually going to talk about more of his documentary that's coming out and the book he's written. He's the guy that came up with the song Buckle Up, which became a big-time theme song for Ohio State last year. We're going to come back here on the Buckeye Show and talk with Mekka Don here on 97.1 The Fan.
Dude, I think I just wrote the song of the summer. Listen. That's just you drinking a big gulp from Speedway. Exactly. Song of the summer. Here comes the drop. Crisp, fruity flavors like the limited time Mountain Dew Pitch Black. And just 89 cents for any size with Speedy Rewards? That's a summer hit. I'm not sure you know how songs work. The convenience stores of Speedway. Hold on. You gotta hear how it ends. Valid through 6/24/25. See app for full terms.
Hey, look, look, it's Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. Say hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob.
You know what I love the most about your store?
What's that, Common Man?
The way you treat people. You get to know your customers. That's why they keep coming back. No sleazeballs around. Just good, clean boys and girls selling jewelry.
Stop in and see the difference for yourself.
Worthington Jewelers on High Street in Worthington. WorthingtonJewelers.com. It's where Columbus gets engaged. Tell them Common Man sent you.
What is dippable and dunkable? And now at Donato's, it's Donato's new chicken dippers. Flavorful boneless chicken breast tenders served up with 7 amazing dipping sauce options, including new garlic parmesan and sweet chili. For a limited time, try new chicken dippers for just $5 on the $5 Pizza Pals menu. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donato's. Gotta love more.
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
The Buckeye Show is sponsored by CareSource. Proud to be your home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
We here at The Fan believe there's no such thing as too much Ohio State coverage. You're locked into The Buckeye Show.
Man, that's some hard driving music right there, Patrick. We got to step up. We got to step to the front and deliver the show. Speaking of that, speaking of delivering shows, man, Mekka Don, welcome to the Buckeye. I almost said the Tim May Show. Welcome to the Buckeye Show, my man.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good. I hear Buckle Up starting to come on the radio here, I think, or maybe I'm just imagining it. But
nah, I think that thing. You'll hear that thing in your sleep, man. If you hear it too much.
Seriously, man. I mean, the Buckle Up. I mean, that's one of my favorite things ever. But I wanted to do this big week coming up for you, man. Your book's going to be released. Your documentary's coming on the season, the 2024 season. And are you super? I mean, you know, you and I and Tito Thidoff talked about that a lot, you know, a couple of those Sundays ago. But how excited are you about what's coming?
I'm really excited. You know, it's interesting as a creator. A lot of times, like, you know. You're just when you get in creation mode, you're just creating, right? And then, honestly, it's funny. Like, the book is done; it'll be out on Monday. Buckle Up the Playbook. It'll be out on Amazon, and then the documentary will be out the following week on my YouTube. And I'm a little sad at that the process has been completed, right? Like, yeah. I'm grateful, obviously, but you know, the creation process is part of what I really love.
Yeah, I think it's what Da Vinci said after he finished the Mona Lisa. What do I do now? What do I do now? Maybe I should have made her smile bigger. What do I do now? Hey,
sure.
What was the toughest? Obviously, you write. I mean, you sit there and we've talked about this before. You sit there, you're creating all the time in your brain. Something's going on, you know, to take you down another path, et cetera. You were a Ohio State football player long ago. You spilt blood on the practice fields. Not so much a superstar, you know what I mean, but spilt blood. Mm-hmm. So you have an affinity. Do you think that gave you a little bit of an insight and affinity when you were putting together this documentary of like Lathan Ransom and some of these guys you end up having in the documentary, just kind of maybe a little bit more insight on what they're really going through, what they really went through last year?
100%. And if you let me rewind for a little bit, I'm going to give a little bit more context to that too. So, you know, obviously I had the song Buckle Up. That was the anthem for the team. They ran out to it every game. And before the season started, you know, I realized that I wanted to kind of capture kind of what that Buckle Up movement was going to be, because it started to catch fire before the season even started. Mm-hmm. And I'll give you just a little bit of insight. The way the documentary actually starts is 2 days before the season starts. Shelly Meyer comes on the screen, says, "Hey, Shelly Meyer here, and I just got to see Mekka Don perform his new Buckeye anthem, Buckle Up, and it's so amazing. And there are a lot of expectations for the season. Trust me, I've been there, I understand. But that song is going to carry us all the way to the top."
Wow.
2 days before the season started. It gives me chills when I think about it, right?
Yeah.
So I knew, and a lot of people, other people knew that obviously the song was great and special, but that this could also be a special season. So that was the reason why we decided to shoot the documentary before. So for me, it was part me telling my story, but also the ability to tell the story of the season through the lens of, the players and being a fan. So yeah, my affinity, for the team and my closeness to the team and obviously to the program, but also just being a fan, it made it so exhilarating. It was expensive to produce this, by the way.
I was going to ask about that, but not, go ahead. Not details, but go ahead.
Yeah, but for sure, it definitely made it more exciting.
Hey, it's Patrick Murphy here. Good talking with you. What happens if the Buckeyes don't win? How does that change your documentary process if it doesn't end in the way that everyone hoped?
Yeah. First of all, hey, Pat. And secondly, yeah, I mean, that was something that we thought about. I think that for me, there was value personally for my brand and kind of my fans and just documenting kind of the Buckle Up movement as it kind of grew and expanded and, performing on Fox Big Noon Kickoff and turned into a PSA with sheriffs across the country, the state. So it had its own big movement that I thought was pretty cool that we would have covered. Yeah. But it would have just become something that was just probably for my fans and people who are supporters of mine, and it wouldn't have broadened out into what, a championship documentary as well. But, as God would have it, and, I think there were two parallel paths that were running together, obviously me and my story, what I've been through, kind of the trials and tribulations to get to where I've gotten, and the Buckeyes at the same time. And so, yeah, it would have been a totally different thing. But we also were making a bet, even the song itself. I hadn't done a Buckeye song in about a decade.
Right.
And, I really made a bet before the season started. I said, I think this is going to be the one. That was the reason why I actually wrote the song. So it was a bet that we made, and we knew that if we did go on and win, this now turns from just a cool Mekka Don thing and a cool thing for the fans and something that turns into kind of a pop culture story.
And I know I saw you hanging around some of the hotels as we were traveling around covering this. Kind of take people through what your experience was like this season, obviously having a different perspective than the average fan.
Yeah. So, obviously early on, before the season started, we released the song. There was a lot of hype with the song. We had merchandise, Buckle Up merchandise with the Ohio State Team Shop that was released before the season even started, and obviously sold in the stadium and everything else. And so I was at pretty much every single home game.
Yeah.
And, as we're going through the season, I'm viewing the season from multiple lenses. One, I'm viewing it from a fan perspective, obviously, first and foremost. Secondly, I'm viewing it from, the Buckle Up and kind of that perspective and how that's kind of, how to kind of integrate that more. And then thirdly, from a business perspective, right? Because also there's a business component to this as well with selling songs and selling merchandise and obviously brand increase. So, so for me, I'm watching every game intently, right? So when we get to the Oregon game, starting there, the first Oregon game, that was a crusher at first just because of the way we lost. But then once we got past that, I said, well, we could, if we run the table, which we still legitimately could do,
yeah,
we could still go on and win. And then, we started getting closer, past homecoming. Nebraska was supposed to be something. Then they kind of fell off before we played them. So that game wasn't even though it was still a close game, I wasn't as nervous going into that game. And then you have Indiana and Penn State, right? And those games, were two teams that were pretty much top five. I think they're both top five when we played them.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we got past those games, that was obviously exciting. And now it's just about beating the team up north. But what I also knew in the back of my head was that because it's now turned into a 12-team playoff, even if we lost to the team up north, we still were going to have a chance in the playoffs. Now, that obviously did not want to do that, did not want to go that route. But that was something that was, that was something that was still on my mind. But as a Buckeye fan, right, I don't care about I'm not at that point. I'm not thinking about the playoffs. I'm thinking about let's beat this team finally, right?
Yeah.
And so, but after that loss, it was crushing for a number of reasons. Obviously, number one, as a fan, it's the fourth loss in a row. But it was a loss that was the most probably inexcusable of all of them, right? There's no excuses anymore. 23-point favorite at home. 15 guys getting drafted. I mean, come on. The weather was good. There's no real excuse to lose that game. So that was crushing because now you start asking broader questions about, the season, the team, the coaches, can we beat them, that type of thing. And then also just seeing kind of the reactions from the players, right? And how you start to really feel sorry for them, especially the seniors who have kind of gone through this, and, a lot of those guys who have come back and to have to kind of suffer that fate again.
Right.
But then as the playoffs started, before they even started, and this is actually in the documentary too, I started to really feel like, you know what? Let me just compartmentalize that game against the team up north, and there's just some mental block that we have there. But if I was really analyzing just the talent and what I believe this team could be, I still thought we were going to be, have a chance to win the title going into the playoffs. And I said that. I actually made the prediction of the exact road we were going to go through, including playing Notre Dame in the national championship, beating them by 10 to 14 points. I should have bet my life on all that stuff, but I didn't. So, but I was fortunate enough to go to Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get to go to Tennessee because I was traveling, and I was also traveling for Oregon game. But I did get to go to Texas, Cotton Bowl. Amazing experience.
Yep.
Being with the fans, obviously, was probably the most exciting game in some ways. And then being in the Cotton Bowl in Texas, right? That was an experience of itself. And then I got to go to the national championship game as well and take my son, who's 7. He's now like Mr. Buckeye. So it was just an amazing ride, man, just to, me personally, me for my family, me as a Buckeye fan, and then being able to share that with Buckeye Nation. And then obviously this being the season where Buckle Up was the song. I mean, it was like a fairy tale, honestly.
By the way, you know why you couldn't be in the NFL, right? Because you bet on yourself way too much, Mekka Don. Hey, real quick, we got to go, but I wanted to remind people the book comes out on Monday, and then the documentary is going to come. When's it going to first air? Where people are going to be able to find it?
Yeah, so the book, Buckle Up, the Playbook, 5 winning plays for go-getters, the motivational book. Gene Smith did the forward, the legend, shout out to him. It's something very inspirational for people, especially in this time now where a lot of self-doubt, trying to figure out what to do next. I think it's a really good book. So that'll be this Monday, June 9th on Amazon. Again, ebook and a paperback. And then the documentary, Buckle Up, the Soundtrack of Champions, which is what we've been talking about this whole time.
Right.
That'll be out on my YouTube, youtube.com/Mekka Don Music, MEKKADON Music. So make sure you subscribe. And that'll be out on June 16th on my YouTube. So super excited about that. And, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, heck, anytime, man. You know that, man. We go way back. But the ideal man and an entertainer, boy, when you put those two together, you got something, right, Mekka Don?
Thanks, man. No, I appreciate it.
You got it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's Mekka Don. And be sure to watch that documentary. I've seen little excerpts from it. It looks really, really good, especially the stuff with Lathan Ransom, for example. I mean, some guys really poured it out those last 4 games for their alma mater, and it's pretty cool. But, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about the Buckeyes a little bit more before we end this show. We're going to do hashtag Buckeyes, a crowd favorite, I'm told, here on the Buckeye Show on 97.1 The Fan.
Head to 971thefan.com to listen on demand and subscribe to all our podcasts. Wasting time has never been easier. The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Don't settle for ordinary this summer when adventure awaits. Make memories that will last forever only at your Columbus Zoo and Aquarium, Central Ohio's family destination for fun. Plan your perfect summer trip at columbuszoo.org.
We've discovered the perfect morning ritual, the 2 for $6 breakfast sandwich deal at Tim Hortons. Every sandwich is made to order with a freshly cracked egg and melty cheese, just the way breakfast should be. Choose between savory sausage or hickory smoked bacon, served on a toasted English muffin or flaky biscuit. There's no wrong way to mix and match this tasty deal. 2 breakfast sandwiches, just $6. Perfect. Only at your neighborhood Tim Hortons. At participating U.S. restaurants, single item at regular menu price. Modifications and tax extra. Exclusions and additional terms apply.
There's a new way to surround yourself with savings at Giant Eagle and Market District. Shop Giant Eagle's uncompromising quality at a reliable price with everyday savings. Look for signs throughout the store to find bargains on produce, meat, and more. Visit Giant Eagle to see how easy it is to save.
Things are popping at Al's Delicious Popcorn. With over 80 flavors to choose from, we have something for everyone. From classics like caramel cashew, white cheddar, and our famous vanilla butternut to new flavors like chicken and waffles and spicy barbecue. They are all made fresh and they are all delicious. Visit us online at alspopcorn.com or come see us and experience the best service in town at 1500 Bethel Road in Columbus. Al's Delicious Popcorn.
They're trained. They're prepared.
Let's do it.
They're Ohio's undefeated plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling team. And they're here to tackle your problems. For plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling, there's only one team. The Waterworks. Better care, better value, better results. Call the Waterworks at 614-232-2222 or visit them online at thewaterworks.com. A proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
For over 30 years, Schumacher Homes has been building affordable custom homes throughout the Buckeye State. Experience true customization on your land, your way, without any compromises. Come visit any of our 9 Ohio model home and design studio locations to see the latest in design trends and learn about our award-winning building process, or start online at schumacherhomes.com. You'll be surprised how affordable a custom home will be. Schumacher Homes, proud home building sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Health insurance companies are expected to carry health benefits, but CareSource does so much more. We look beyond doctors' offices and hospitals to see the challenges that face our members. Then we help them achieve not just better health, but better lives. Along with great benefits, we also help our members find stable jobs, housing, childcare, and rides so they can find greater independence. At CareSource, we're removing barriers. We're improving lives. We're reimagining healthcare.
How many different ways can you consume morning juice? Let's see. Live on YouTube, live on the Fans HD3, podcast on demand, and on 10 TV Plus. It will send Bobby right to your house.
Weekday mornings from 6 to 8.
The Fan.
Everyone has a fave Wendy's Frosty flavor. And when you're choosing from chocolate or vanilla, it's not that hard. But now, there's all new Frosty Swirls and Frosty Fusions. So try picking your fave from Oreo Brownie Fusion, Pop-Tarts Strawberry Fusion, Strawberry Swirl, Brownie Batter Swirl, Caramel Swirl, and Caramel Crunch Fusion. Not so easy now, huh? For a fresh way to Frosty, gotta be Wendy's. Open till midnight or later.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location. Oreo is a trademark of Mondelez International Group. Pop-Tarts is a trademark of Kellogg North America Co., LLC. Used with permission.
Coors Light presents To Chill or Not to Chill. When your friend skips your favorite song on the playlist. End of friendship. Or choose chill because that song lives rent-free in your head anyway. And you're planned ahead by bringing Coors Light to the party. And the sound of that ice-cold can cracking open was music to your ears already. Coors Light. Choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2024 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
The Fan Guest Hotline is sponsored by Patriot Air Comfort Systems and Bryant, doing whatever it takes to keep your home comfortable. The Fan.
Social media can be a cesspool. Allow us to navigate the waters. #Buckeyes.
Sponsored by The Waterworks. Call the plumbing, heating, and cooling technicians at The Waterworks and header today. Call 614-232-2222. Proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Man, I'm getting a little misty-eyed here, man. This is the last segment. I'm going to be on Sunday morning, or like Sunday at noon for a little, like an hour and 20 minutes. Then I'm headed for the U.S. Open, where I'm going to be a volunteer for the 4th straight year. Totally looking forward to it. Never been to Oakmont. You ever been to Oakmont?
I have not.
Do you even like golf?
I pay attention.
Okay. But I'm so fired up about that, and should be a fun week over there, no matter what the weather is. Like last year at Pinehurst, it was in the 90s 3 out of the 4 days of the tournament. It was really hot, but so was the action on the course. But, we're supposed to do this #Buckeyes segment right now. Patrick, are you ready?
I'm ready.
The reason I'm asking, are you ready? Because I decided the way you answered the bell in an emergency notice, because you were just going to be on for 9 or 10 minutes and talk about beer at 6:30, right? What beer you're drinking now. You toughed it out and went through 2 hours here, and 8 of the best segments ever on, I think, talk radio.
We
what do
can
you
talk
think?
beer now.
Yeah, well, you can do that in a minute.
#Buckeyes.
But I'm gonna do #Buckeyes. I'm gonna stick with you guys. Buck Nuts 24/7, 247 Sports. I almost said 24.7 The Fan.
You got there.
247 Sports, but. You guys had a posted story today. What starting jobs are still unsettled for Ohio State? What will happen in the Michigan hearing? We already covered the Michigan hearing, but we didn't cover what starting jobs are unsettled for Ohio State. I think Dave Biddle and you talked about it on the podcast, but also a story. What's that all about, my man?
Yeah, we we did talk about it on our podcast this morning, but it was 2 stories I did, offense, defense, about the projecting basically the starters for the opening game against Texas. And I think a lot of them are probably fairly obvious for the people listening to this show who follow the Buckeyes attentively. But
dude, there could be people traveling through town.
That's a good point.
Who are big Texas fans on their way back from the Northeast, headed back to Texas, to the frying pan, as I call it, this time of the year, but who are curious. So give me a couple of ideas there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it starts with the quarterback, and we talked about that a little bit already when you brought up Julian Say and Lincoln Kienholz. They went through spring. We still have no verdict. Ryan Day said at the end of spring, it's basically neck and neck. They both had good days. They both had bad days. I'm still going to project Julian Say, and I think you probably would too. Not to count out Lincoln Kienholz. I think this is very much a competition, but as you mentioned, this was supposed to be the guy who was going to finish things off for Nick Saban down at Alabama, a 5-star talent. I think he probably wins out in that one. Offensive line, I think both tackle positions are still interesting. I think Ethan Onianwa certainly started to cement himself in the spring at left tackle, but on the right side, is Austin Saraveld actually a tackle? We saw him play a lot of guard last year, right? And then he was in the right tackle in spring, but you got Phillip Daniels, who transferred from Minnesota. I think if we're just talking opening snap, which tight end is out there? Because they've got a handful of them this year. On the offensive side of the ball, I think those are really the positions. Maybe the slot receiver. I do think Brandon Inniss probably takes that, but don't count out Bryson Rodgers, who did start the spring game.
Right.
I think people forget about that. Defensively, there's more questions maybe. I think particularly, you lose your entire starting defensive line. I think we know more or less what that group's going to look like, but you bring in a guy like Bo Atkinson from North Carolina after spring practice as a defensive end. Could that shake up what I think most people expected is Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry on the edges? That's a guy who's produced already, and while Caden and Kenyatta have played in a backup role, neither of them have been full-time starters yet. Bo Atkinson is a guy who, if he shows up in fall camp like they think, I think that could be a guy who could at least push for a spot to start in the season opener.
Yep.
And then, safety, I think, is the other big one next to Caleb Downs. Nickelback as well. You got to replace 2 big parts of your defense from last year. And they certainly have guys. It's just a matter of who steps up and wins that job.
Yeah. I mean, you got Lorenzo Styles Jr. sitting there, can play the nickel, but also we saw him a lot at corner during the spring. And,
and they're deep at corner.
Oh, yeah.
There's lots of guys that could potentially play that spot.
Matt Patricia's been on record, man. He likes what he sees from a talent depth standpoint in the secondary. And, of course, he's the new defense coordinator for all you people are driving through town on your way to Texas. But he's the new defense coordinator, and it's going to be interesting to see what he does there. Larry Johnson is a pretty loyal guy. You loyal to him, he's loyal back. And Kenyatta Jackson and Caden Curry, I would think, would be the starters there. But, boy, adding a piece like Bo Atkinson, I talk about him like he's a chess piece. He kind of is, because he can, he can trip some moves for you from the offensive side. When you put him out there, he's a proven commodity, and we'll see where that goes. And Logan George, it's hard to believe Logan George was at Idaho State.
Yes,
and he just had to grow into it. It's kind of like guys coming to summer camp. Don't ever give up on a guy, even when he doesn't show up, the first time around.
When we first went out to interview him, I was expecting, maybe undersized or something along those lines. Like, okay, there's a reason you ended up there. And I guess we probably shouldn't think that way with the class he was in. The COVID class, guys didn't get evaluated, especially from, non-big high school football areas. But he looks every bit the part of a guy who could play at this level, and I think we saw it during spring practice. You saw it in the spring game when he was absolutely dominant. Now, granted, spring game, not the same as playing Texas in week 1, but at the very least, you got some really good depth at defensive end. Maybe not so much at defensive tackle.
Right.
That's certainly up in the air, but look, this roster's loaded. I mean, you lose all the guys that you had that helped you win a national championship last year, and you're still one of the betting favorites to win the national title for a reason.
Yeah, I had somebody tell me the other day that, aren't we kind of isn't it kind of overblown, the concern about depth at defensive tackle? I go, when the head coach says it, it takes it to another level. I mean, clearly they're concerned, but, rob Peter to pay Paul, great cliche because it definitely fits. I really think Matt Patricia and his group and even Larry Johnson, they'll figure out ways, I think, to get one of those defensive end types involved inside. I mean, along with the guys, they really want to see Will Smith and Tywan Malone and those guys step up more. Yeah. Jason Moore step up and really take. But there are all kinds of ways you can attack teams now, and I think Ohio State's got talent across that front. It just may not be apportioned correctly.
Right, and if you look back at last year, even really the last 2 years, they didn't rotate a ton on the interior. And look, you had guys in Tyleik Williams and Ty Hamilton who could handle playing those reps.
Yeah. Tyleik finally could, right? Yeah. He grew into it.
Can Caden McDonald, at his size, that's a big boy. Can he play that many snaps in a game? I think that's, Edric Houston, I'm pretty confident he could go out there and play a bunch.
Yeah.
I think Caden McDonald's going to have to show that, or you're going to need somebody to rotate with him, which Larry Johnson's proven he can do that.
And I think Edric Houston could really emerge as that guy, that terror.
Yeah. We saw him at camp. We saw him at camp. That's the exact example. I don't know if Austin told you this yesterday, but he said when he was talking to Austin and I that he said he was at 295, 20% body fat. He wants to get down to 18% body fat and look like Aaron Donald is exactly what he said. And I said, well, good luck to anybody who wants to look like Aaron Donald.
And you get that mismatch you're looking for down in there. I mean, just like in the Super Bowl, Cincinnati and LA Rams, they put Aaron Donald in a mismatch and he made the play on the last play. I mean, forced the play and like I always told I've said this many times, I've told told Nick Bosa one time, you and your brother have it going on. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, because you make 2 plays a game, everybody thinks you've had a hell of a game, right?
Right.
And that's really, and he laughed. He goes, you're right, but yeah, I think they've got the wherewithal. It's just, and I think Matt Patricia's may be the perfect guy to take the pieces because he's been known as taking what he's got and turning it into something and mixing and matching and coming at you from different angles and stuff. Did you enjoy tonight, by the way?
I did.
All right, one quick. We've only got a few seconds left. One quick recommendation for a beer for people who haven't had it before. Quick.
Montucky.
It's
like a Bud Light type of beer. If you're looking for something like that, you'll find them around.
All right. Well, this has been the Buckeye Show with Tim May and Patrick Murphy here on 97.1 The Fan. Stay tuned for Reds baseball.
We test marketed naming the show A Guy and His Butlers.
Oh, that is very touching.
But we thought Bishop and Friends had a better ring to it.
Weekday mornings at 9.
The Fan.
When sudden illness or injury strike, Ohio State offers 3 types of urgent care to meet any of your needs. From traditional urgent care to our specialized orthopedic urgent care for activity-related injuries and advanced urgent care for more serious injury and illness, Ohio State's experts treat everything from broken bones to ear infections and colds and flu. When your illness or injury can't wait, the choice is clear.
Looking to buy a home? CME Federal Credit Union has got you covered. With a 5-1 adjustable rate mortgage from CME, you can lock in a low rate, starting as low as 5.5% for the first 5 years. And with low closing costs, you can save even more. Ready to get started? Visit CMEFCU.org today to begin your journey to home ownership. Terms and conditions apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
It's Kubota Orange Days. From America's #1 selling compact tractor to zero-turn mowers and versatile RTVs, get your perfect match delivered to your door. Now through June 30th, get 0 down, 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,500 off BX23S tractors. See the details at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
Visit BuckeyeKubotaDealers.com to find a dealer near you.
Everybody knows that Roosters is a fun, casual joint with their award-winning waitstaff, great food, fun, and laughter. It's a quick stop on the way home to sit back and unwind. It's a front row seat to the big game. Roosters is where you, your family, and friends can order pizzas, sandwiches, salads, and more. And the home of award-winning wings that are fresh, never frozen, and so big you won't believe it. It's your family's other dinner table. Roosters, a fun, casual joint, and the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Come on over to Heartland and join our family.
Now, community banking is the lifeblood of the American financial system, building strong, lasting relationships. We're just better able to help guide you down life's road. Flexibility is paramount to success. Community banking is alive and well in the Heartland. I'm Scott McComb. Come on over to Heartland, where banking really feels good.
Where banking feels good. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hello, I'm Ross Bjork, Senior Vice President and Eugene Smith Wolf Foundation Endowed Athletics Director at The Ohio State University. In partnership with AEP, Donato's, Kroger, The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, Huntington, and 10 TV, Ohio State Athletics strives to inspire the community to make a positive impact on children and families in our great state through the Buckeyes Care Initiative. Show and share your support in the community by using the hashtag Buckeyes Care.
Broadcasting from the